I gotta wait. How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the share, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
I'm Dreme, a black woman with many beautiful interconnecting identities. A few I will name at this moment as we get started on this podcast journey together. A Bostonian, born and raised in the inner city, Dorchester and Roxbury neighborhoods, to a teenage single mother who has my whole heart. An educator, I've been working with youth and children since my teenage years, and formally, I have been teaching almost a decade now. That's wild to think about. An entrepreneur, I am the founder of The Chair, a black and brown centered tech platform dedicated to supporting people on their hair journey, where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a more joyous experience. I have a workable site, my prototype. It took me 2 years to build, and now I'm on this adventure that you're currently on with me. My goal for this podcast is to share stories, black stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and hair stories. I want you to leave each episode with the opportunity to gain new insight, just a glimpse into my world or the worlds that are featured on my podcasts, a little chuckle during your day or night, possibly a little anger to encourage you to advocate for justice, and hope to continue learning and dreaming. So come in and listen to the beautiful voices in the chair as they share their stories, starting with me.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Hello, everyone. This is Kai. Kai, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Kai Terrell Evans. I don't know why I went full government name, but I'm going to do it regardless. I am 33. I'm an Aries and Dream my cousin. So, yeah, there's that. So, hi, everyone. And oh, yeah, I'm a drag performer here in Boston, Massachusetts.
Kai and I have known each other our whole lives. I remember we went to the same high school. Kai is older than me, and my mom was like, I think your cousin goes to BBNN. She was like, their mom and I used to work at the ice cream parlor when we were kids.
Brigham's,
Yeah.
gone but not forgotten.
And so I was excited to be able to see not only a familiar face, but another black face at school.
Yeah. It was very, very white at BB&N. There was one of 7 black people in my year,
Yeah,
and then
one of 5 in my year.
It was, but we found each other and we stuck by each other through all the whiteness. We waded that water together.
And Kai, for me, you've just been magical, artistic, theatrical person my whole life, and so I was super excited when you started doing drag, because I remember in high school when you were on stage and doing just an amazing actor altogether. Oh, I thought you would start drag so much earlier.
You are not the first person to say that.
So when you started drag, I was like, yes, finally. And so how has that world been for you, drag in Boston?
It has been really, really interesting. And I love using the word interesting because it can mean so many things, but that's what explaining is for. But so for those in the audience, I started drag over a year ago, so when I was 32. And of course, I found out about drag in 2009 with the first season of Drag Race. I knew about drag, but I never seen how cool it was until I saw Drag Race. And I'm an OG. I watched season 1
when
it came out. And then every season after that. But I've always found it interesting. But I never, to get into drag seemed like a lot of work, and a lot of work that I did not want to do, if I'm being completely brutally honest. I enjoyed lip syncing. I love performing, as you mentioned. I grew up doing theater, singing my entire life. So it was something that I always wanted to do, but just never thought it was for me just because of when you're watching. One thing about Drag Race that is like more of a critique about it is that it only really shows very limited aspects of drag. So, of course, I didn't really see a lot of local drag until like around before the pandemic, during the pandemic with a lot of digital shows. And I was talking to a few queens once the pandemic, when a lot of the guidelines were being lifted, so shows were being able to perform in public again. Okay, I want to do drag, but it seems like a lot of work in terms of makeup and getting into drag. And I remember this one queen, Just JP, who I love to death, was like, you do realize drag can be anything you want it to be. Like, you can wear what you normally wear. You don't have to put on so much makeup. As long as you're performing, you are doing drag. And that was kind of what I kind of took that. And I remember December, I was like, all right, I'm going to do my drag debut in January of 2023. January happened and I didn't do it. And then I set the intent to do it in February. And there's this open stage in Boston called Drag Stroll, and it's hosted by Empty Heart, who was also very official with me getting into drag as well. So shout out to Empty Heart. And they're like, to sign up for a stroll. So I signed up for the Valentine's Day one, which was on February 13th, 2023. And that was my first performance. I performed Sweet Transvestite, the Amber Riley cover of it from Glee, because I prefer that version. And it's been good ever since. I've been very fortunate to be consistently booked throughout Boston for the past year, which is not what a lot of drag performers can say. So I'm very fortunate to like be able to perform drag at the consistency that I am doing, which during like Pride and Halloween, it increases, but like during the month, it's 4 or 5 times a month, which is great for me because I have a full-time job and drag is tiring. So I personally could not do it full time, at least in this stage of my life.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos. It shouldn't be this hard, but it is. And now, it isn't. The Chair. A black and brown centered platform where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new, joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hairboards made by people like you, for you. Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you, stress-free. Join the Chair community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on the Chair. We got you. No stress, no strife. In the chair. The chair. The chair. All right.
What is your drag name?
Wow, have I not even mentioned that? Okay, so my drag name is Killah Croc. So Killah, Killah. Not because I'm from Boston. I changed it because I thought it was cool. People have been in my mentions recently being like, oh, is it Killah Croc because you're from Boston? And I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Of course people would think that. But no. The reason why I chose Killah Croc is because at the time, when I was thinking about my drag name, of course, this was during the pandemic, and I fell in love with Crocs, the shoes, because like these are comfortable. They come in so many different styles. I love them. I was like, I want something to show my love of Crocs, but also something that's nerdy, but also something people aren't going to forget. And there, in the DC comics world, there is a character called Killah Croc, who is an adversary of Batman, if I can remember correctly. And I was like, all right, Killah Croc, great. It's nerdy. If people know the reference, people will know it. It's a homage to my love of Crocs, but also let me switch it up, add the AH, and it's cool. And that's where it came, Killah Croc.
Hey.
I haven't vocalized how I came up with that name in some time. Because I think after a while, once you're like in drag, people just know you as that. But you rarely get people asking about why did you come up with the name. So thank you for that. I enjoy telling that story.
Of course. So do you consider yourself an educator as a drag performer?
See, when you first sent me these questions, it was one of those things where I was like, am I an educator? I'll be honest, I went on this journey of, because when I think of educator, I think of course, teachers, professors, people teaching people. And then I kind of broke that down. I was like, so my drag does teach people. It may not be in a traditional sense of we're in a classroom and you're taking notes, but I do see myself as an educator, both for the drag community and the queer community in Boston as a whole.
How so? Can you give me some examples?
Yeah. One example is with the drag, and I'll focus this on drag and then maybe I'll expand to like the queer scene in Boston as a whole. So in the drag scene, I have 2 children, natural births. It was quite painful. I'm kidding. I have 2 kids. One is my drag son named Mike Check and my drag daughter, Desdemonic. Hi, Mike Check. Hi, Desdemonic. Mama loves you. But something that I have done as my position as a drag mom has been to educate my kids and like my drag family as a whole, like my drag cousins, because with drag, there are drag families, and I'm part of the House of Calypso. My drag mom is the iconic Neon Calypso. So there's these house structures. And me as a drag kid, but also as a drag mom, not only do I teach my kids how to perform, how I perform, but I also teach them how to navigate the drag scene, how to navigate Boston drag as a whole. Because something that I've noticed with drag is like, especially with the advent of RuPaul's Drag Race, is that there's a certain way that everyone assumes how drag should be performed in order to become quote unquote popular. And for me, that was something getting into drag that I knew I wanted people to enjoy my drag, but I also did not want to change who I was in order to appease the ideals of drag. So something that I've instilled with my drag kids and even in my own drag house, the Delusional House of Meh, so my drag family structure is so complicated, but like in a good way. Like I am part of the House of Calypso, but I also started my own drag house before I was part of the House of Calypso called the Delusional House of Meh as a way to bring people within the queer community who want to do drag together. So not only am I a drag, I guess, sibling, a drag daughter, I'm also a house mother, a founder of a house, but I'm also a drag mom. So either way, in all those senses of the word, my job as a drag mother, child, house mother is to instill a sense of belonging to the people that are part of my drag family. When we use the term educator, not only am I teaching the fundamentals of drag and like how to perform drag here in Boston, because with my kids, they have their own different styles of drags, and I love them so much because even if it's not my style, I can see like they're expressing themselves, and that's all I want. But there is the sense in terms of educator, there's that sense of, oh, this is how I do drag in Boston, or like what to do when I'm performing. But there's also like how to be a good person. in the community. And I keep bringing this to Drag Race, and I'm not saying Drag Race is like a bad show, because I still love Drag Race to this day. I still watch it, not as fervently as I used to, but I still watch it. And as it's become more mainstream, something that I have noticed is that a lot of people who get into drag, they see what they see on Drag Race. They see these divas who are like divas, and they assume that that's how they have to be in order to get ahead in their drag career. And it's honestly, it annoys me, because we are, as a queer community, already so small. And then the drag community within the queer community is smaller. So the need to be sassy, mean, like rude to people doesn't really make sense to me. So I've always instilled within my drag family, or in my drag in particular, a sense of like, you treat people how you want to be treated, which is another way that the educator part of me comes out. This person may be sassy to me, but I'm going to give them what I would want someone to give to me. And I've had to call a few queens out on their behavior because of it. And I've seen a lot of changes within certain queens who have like started off, oh, this is supposed to be my drag, yada, yada, yada. And they've become a lot nicer because it's free to be nice. Being nice is free 99. You don't have to be sassy or bitchy all the time in order to make a name for yourself. But I think that was just a long-winded way of saying, like, in order to be an educator in the drag community, I teach the people within the drag scene and my children how to be good people, not just good drag performers, but good people within the scene.
Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere, Captured Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show. How does the educator come out in terms of the queer side? Right, you said you highlighted the drag side, or is that one and the same for you?
As I was talking about it, it kind of becomes one and the same, but like in the queer side, I think in terms of being like part of the queer community in Boston, the Boston scene is very white, gay, and cis men. Cis is, for those who don't know, someone who, when I say cis, it means someone who prescribes to their gender at birth. So if someone was born male and they identify as male, they are a cis male. I was born male, but I identify as trans femme, which means like how I show myself in public is very feminine. I rock a beard and I rock my mustache, but I will wear a cute little dress and a denim vest. That's how I express myself. But the scene in Boston is very white, male, and cis. So you have a huge population of white cis males dictating what the queer scene needs to be. I've been fortunate to find a lot of people within the queer scene in Boston who don't really prescribe to those ideals of what being gay and what being queer needs to be. Because if we're really going to talk about it, I've noticed that a lot of white men, especially in the gay scene, they take their personalities based off what they've seen on Black women. If I'm being completely honest, when I think of like sassy gay men, they're taking a lot of that from Black women or the Black community as a whole. Luckily, you don't hear this a lot anymore, but so if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 1, the final episode, Chanel is in Afro. Like, I am a Black woman in a gay boy's body. And like, that is something I used to hear a lot growing up as a queer person. And I'm glad that's not as prevalent today, but how the educator comes in is like, in the queer community, is if I see stuff like that, calling people in, not out, because I think calling people out has a certain negative connotation. Whereas if I care for someone and they're doing something that's problematic within the scene, I'm definitely going to be like, hey, I know that your intention is this, but it comes off as this. And it comes off this way, and it really can affects me, or it affects so-and-so. And it's something to think about if to change. So in the queer community, just kind of steering people on the right path. That sounds so preachy, but it's not what it's not what I'm trying to get at. It's more so be authentically yourself. At the same time, I think it goes back to you don't have to be a sassy or a rude person. So that's where the educator comes out, is showing people that you don't have to be a certain way in order to be seen or be known or be appreciated or tolerated within the community.
Thank you so much, Kai, for sharing your stories in the chair. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And whenever you need me to come on, I'm here. I love talking about my experience or like sharing experiences with people. This episode or just recording this has really made me think about my drag in a way that I haven't thought about it in some time, especially in terms of like education and how it represents Blackness, especially Black hair. So I'm about to journal about this afterwards.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I, of course, would love your continued support. Let me know what you think of this episode by doing all the things. Subscribe, comment, and come back next week, every week. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day, or if you are like me, enjoy that moonlight and that one star under all your city lights. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
We support her. Shit.
Do your Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story. Where we share